5 energetic signs someone has no soul. Protect yourself. They look human. They speak like us. They even smile at the right time, nod at the right cues, and mirror our gestures as though they understand. Yet something in your gut whispers, this person is empty. Have you ever felt that? A strange hollowness behind someone's eyes, as if the body is alive but the soul is missing? If so, you're not alone. Across ancient mysticism, modern psychology, and even parapsychology research, there have always been warnings about soulless beings walking among us. Today, we're diving deep into a subject that most spiritual teachers are too afraid to touch: the energetic signs that reveal when someone has no soul. Not metaphorically, not just cold-hearted or unempathetic, but literally hollow. This isn't about judging others. It's about learning how to protect yourself. Because the truth is, these beings can drain you, confuse you, and even manipulate your path if you don't recognize the signals. In this journey, we'll uncover 5 of the most telling energetic signs of soulless beings, drawing from the insights of Carl Jung, Edgar Cayce, Ingo Swann, and even Albert Einstein. Some of these signs you may have sensed before without fully understanding them. By the end, you'll not only be able to spot these energetic patterns, but also learn how to stand in your power and protect your light. So stay with me until the very end, because the last sign we'll explore is one that almost no one talks about, and it may explain why you felt drained, confused, or spiritually violated around certain people your entire life. And if you find this resonates, I invite you to subscribe to Awaken Wisdom for more explorations like this, and comment 1 below if you've ever sensed someone had no soul, or 0 if this idea is completely new to you. Before we dive in, let me offer a gentle frame so this topic serves healing, not fear. In many traditions, the language of soulless is symbolic shorthand for an energetic absence, a missing resonance, an inner light that has not yet awakened. Whether you see this through Jung's lens, a persona with no self behind it, through Cayce, a vessel not animated by spiritual purpose, or through modern trauma psychology, a nervous system so shut down it cannot co-regulate, the practical guidance for you is the same. Trust what your body knows. If your chest tightens, if your breath becomes shallow, if your intuition goes dim around someone, that sensation is data. It doesn't make the other person evil, and it doesn't make you superior. It simply means your energy is asking for protection and space. To make this concrete, picture Maya, one of our viewers, who wrote that she felt foggy after weekly coffee with a colleague who always mirrored her opinions but never shared anything real. The breakthrough came when Maya paused, placed a hand on her heart under the table, and asked, "Is my energy leaving me?" The answer was a clear yes. She didn't attack or explain. She reduced contact, grounded in nature that afternoon, and noticed her clarity return. That arc, notice, name, and gently step back, is the first boundary you're allowed to claim. Let's begin with the first energetic sign. It's the absence of genuine emotional resonance. Think about the last time you laughed with a close friend. Not just a polite chuckle, but a deep, belly-shaking laugh that left your soul lighter. That's resonance, 2 souls harmonizing in joy. Now, contrast that with someone who smiles at the right moment, but whose eyes stay flat, whose laughter feels rehearsed. You sense a subtle disconnect, as though you're watching a performance rather than sharing an experience. Carl Jung warned of this when he described the persona, the mask people wear in society. For most of us, the mask is temporary, a role we put on at work or in public. But behind it, the soul shines through in moments of vulnerability. With soulless beings, however, the mask never drops because there's nothing authentic behind it. Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, suggested that souls incarnate to grow through emotions, to learn passion, joy, forgiveness. A being without a soul then lacks the very spark that makes these emotions real. They can study behaviors, imitate tones, even mirror empathy, but it never carries that vibrational weight you feel from someone who has lived love or suffered grief. Energetically, it feels like speaking into a hollow chamber. You may share something deeply personal, only to be met with responses that sound correct but feel empty. A soulful friend might respond with warmth, tears, or silence heavy with empathy. A soulless person might tilt their head, offer a cliché, and move on. How can you tell the difference between social awkwardness and true absence of resonance? Try the stillness test. Share something small but real. I felt anxious this morning before work, and then fall quiet for 5 seconds. A soulful person will usually meet you with a breath, a softening in the face, a real time adjustment in voice tone. The mimic will mirror words but not frequency. You'll feel a slight lag, a script. Neuroscience would say mirror neurons are firing in the first case, co regulation, while the second is purely cognitive, performance without limbic engagement. Also, notice micro contradictions over smiling eyes with stiff jaw, a that must be hard delivered too quickly, like a line read from a teleprompter. None of this is a witch hunt, it's discernment. If you're unsure, slow the moment down. Place attention on your sternum, breathe in 4, out 6 twice. Ask internally, do I feel met or managed? If it's managed, step out of the performance. You do not owe your soul to someone else's script. And while this absence of true resonance is unsettling, the second sign may feel even more personal because it shows up in your own body and energy. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling oddly exhausted, even though nothing physically demanding happened? That is one of the most powerful indicators of interacting with a soulless being. Energy is a two-way exchange. When you talk with someone soulful, you may feel uplifted, inspired, or at least balanced. But with soulless beings, the flow is one-directional. They take, you give. They mimic interests, they absorb your stories, they feed on your energy field without ever replenishing it. This is what many traditions call energy vampirism. While the term sounds dramatic, it's often subtle. You might notice your posture drooping after an interaction, your thoughts feeling foggy, or your motivation disappearing. Jung would describe this as the shadow of another unconsciously consuming your light. Cayce describes soulless individuals as empty vessels, bodies animated but not spiritually driven. Without an inner source of light, they instinctively pull from others to sustain themselves. They aren't necessarily aware of it, it's simply their nature. And if we borrow from Einstein's famous line, everything is energy and that's all there is to it, then it becomes even clearer. If all life is energy, those who lack a soul must draw from those who still carry it. So pay attention. Do you feel drained after talking to someone, even about trivial things? Do you feel lighter when they leave the room? That's not random. That's energetic theft. Protecting yourself means recognizing the pattern and setting firm boundaries. Let's put tools in your hands for the energetic drain. A simple reset routine after contact. 1, breath. Inhale through the nose, 4 counts, hold 2. Exhale 6. Repeat for 2 minutes to signal safety to your nervous system. Sweep. With an open palm, brush down from shoulder to fingertips and from hips to knees, imagining static leaving your field. 3. Salt and water. Wash hands in cool water or take a short shower. If possible, a tablespoon of sea salt in a basin to rinse the feet can help discharge. Ground. Stand barefoot on earth or press your back to a tree for 60 seconds. Attention in the soles. 5. Reclaim. Place your hand on your heart and speak quietly. I call my energy back to me across all interactions today. Only what is mine remains. Practical boundaries help too. Meet in bright open spaces, time box sensitive conversations, avoid late night downloads when you're depleted. And when you can, replace long explanations with one clean sentence. I'm not available for this right now. Clarity is a shield. But perhaps the most haunting sign is not something you feel in your energy, but something you see with your eyes. The eyes, after all, are often called the windows to the soul. So what happens when there's no soul behind them? Many people who've encountered soulless beings describe their eyes as strangely vacant, present but not alive. You may see a flicker of mimicry, but the depth, the spark, is missing. It's as if you are staring at a painting of a human rather than a living being. Carl Jung spoke often of archetypes, the eternal symbols of human psychology. But even shadows have depth and weight. What distinguishes the soulless is the lack of any archetypal resonance. Their aura feels static, like a stage mask. Ingo Swann, in his remote viewing experiments, described encountering presences disguised as human but carrying mechanical energy fields. He noted they felt unlayered, smooth, and unnatural, lacking the complexity of a true soul signature. And if you've ever locked eyes with someone and felt an unexplained chill, not because of malice, but because of absence, you've likely experienced this. About the eyes, here's a compassionate caution. Some neurodivergent friends, trauma survivors, or people in acute stress may avoid eye contact or appear flat despite having very deep souls. So we're not policing bodies, we're reading fields. Try soft focus gaze. Defocus your eyes slightly as if looking through the person and sense the feeling tone, not the micro behaviors. Do you feel a living depth, a layered presence that can surprise you, or a smooth, lacquered surface with no doorway in? Notice pupil responsiveness in natural light, the micro relief after shared truth, the way faces tend to synchronize during real rapport. None of these are single proofs. They are signals in a wider constellation. If in doubt, give space and bless from afar. Protection and kindness are not opposites, they are siblings. And here's where things turn even darker. Beyond hollow eyes and energy drain, soulless beings often leave trails of chaos in their wake. This is the fourth sign, a pattern of disorder, manipulation, and disconnection. Look at the relationships in their lives. Do they consistently collapse? Do workplaces sour when they're around? Do conversations spiral into confusion? These patterns are not accidents. They thrive on chaos because it generates the emotional energy they need. They stir drama, not always by calculated plan, but because instability sustains their hollow existence. Edgar Cayce warned that those who fail to grow spiritually become husks, vulnerable to darker influences. Jung explained that those who deny their inner world end up projecting their shadow onto others, creating cycles of manipulation. In energetic terms, these beings lack the harmony that makes genuine connection possible. Instead, they destabilize others, keeping them off balance. And what makes it harder is that many soulless beings appear charming at first. They mimic charisma, they echo your values, they play roles convincingly. But over time, the mask cracks, and what's left is dissonance, confusion, and betrayal. Ingo Swann once described non-human presences that scrambled thought fields, leaving remote viewers unable to think clearly. Many sensitive people report the same with soulless humans. Your clarity dissolves, your meaning blurs as if your mind has been tampered with. Chaos leaves fingerprints. Run a life pattern audit over the last 24 months with this 5-point check. 1. Relationships. How many begin intense and end abruptly? 2. Triangulation. Do they seed subtle rivalries? X said you're difficult, but I defended you? 3. Accountability. When conflict arises, do they ever reflect or always deflect? 4. Context switching. Do their values change depending on the audience present? 5. Emotional aftermath. After meeting them, do groups feel mistrustful and tired? If you track a repeating loop across settings, work, family, community, believe the pattern. Chaos is not just a mood. For the soulless, it's an ecosystem. A practical tip: avoid being the translator. If you constantly explain their behavior to others, you are donating your light to maintain their image. Step back and let reality speak for itself. Now we come to perhaps the most defining sign of all: the absence of growth, the absence of inner light. Humans with souls evolve. They suffer, they learn, they transform. Their energy shifts, layer upon layer. A soulful person at 40 is not the same as they were at 20. Their aura carries wisdom, humility, scars, and depth. Soulless beings, however, remain eerily static. They do not change. Their stories recycle, their lessons repeat. Their inner world feels frozen in place. They may talk about growth. They may quote self-help lines, recite spiritual jargon, or even attend workshops. But if you look closely, nothing truly shifts. Their lives play like a broken record. Edgar Cayce taught that reincarnation exists so the soul can grow across lifetimes. Without a soul, there is no such journey. Jung echoed this when he said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." But soulless beings avoid pain not by transforming it, but by never engaging with it at all. And if we reflect on Einstein's principle that energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed, then we see the distinction clearly. Souls transform energy, suffering into wisdom, fear into courage, darkness into light. Soulless beings cannot. Their energy stagnates, unmoved, untransformed. If you notice someone whose life seems strangely hollow, who repeats shallow patterns decade after decade, never maturing, never deepening, you may be witnessing the absence of inner light. Expansion. Growth versus loop. Here's a field test. Ask 3 time-space questions in one conversation. What did that teach you? Past. What are you practicing differently now? Present. And how will you check that it's working? Future. A soulful person may stumble, but will eventually reach for ownership, humility, and experiment. You will feel movement. The soulless reply tends to orbit image management, blame, vague platitudes, or borrowed language with no felt specificity. To support your own evolution, try a time-lapse empathy journal once a week. 10 lines only. What moved me? Where did I numb out? Whom did I avoid? What did I repair? Over months, this creates a visible arc, soul's arc, Husk's loop. And if you discover a loop in yourself, that's not a verdict. That's an invitation. Loops can open when met with truth and steady practice. So what can we do if we recognize these signs? The first step is awareness. Once you can name the pattern, you are no longer caught in it. Protect yourself by trusting your intuition. If someone feels empty, honor that feeling. Don't talk yourself out of it. Maintain energetic boundaries. Limit how much time, attention, and emotional investment you give. Ground yourself regularly through meditation, journaling, and time in nature. Reset your field after draining encounters, and most importantly, surround yourself with soulful people. Those who uplift you, challenge you to grow, and resonate authentically. Boundaries sound abstract until we make them sentences you can speak. Try these scripts. Time. I can stay for 15 minutes, and then I have to go. 2. Topic. I'm not discussing that today. 3. Texture. I want conversations that feel mutual. This doesn't. 4. Exit. I'm ending this here. Take care. Practice them aloud in a calm voice so your body learns the pathway. If pushback comes, repeat once and disengage. You're not obligated to negotiate your nervous system. Build an exit plan for high drain settings. Arrive solo, control your ride, and have a grounding object in your pocket, stone, mala, small cross. Afterward, treat your system the way an athlete treats muscles after a sprint. Hydration, protein, quiet, and sleep. Your light is renewable when tended. Recognizing a soulless being is not about condemning them. It is about protecting your own light so you can fulfill your soul's purpose. As Carl Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Do not let hollow vessels distract you from that journey. A final ethical note. Discernment is not dehumanization. When we use phrases like soulless, we're naming an energetic experience, not issuing a metaphysical sentence. Keep your heart clean. Bless at a distance. Refuse to participate in gossip or ridicule. Instead, choose honest proximity or honest space. In Jungian terms, when we demonize the other, we project our disowned shadow and shrink our own soul. In spiritual terms, judgment binds us to the very frequency we hope to escape. The middle way is fierce compassion. I won't abandon myself to rescue you, and I won't curse you either. Hold this stance and your field strengthens. Your clarity becomes quiet, not hard. Your boundaries stop being walls and become windows that let the right people in. And now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever encountered someone who felt soulless? Did you experience any of the signs we've discussed today? Comment 1 below if you felt this before, or 0 if this is a completely new concept to you. Your stories will help others on the path. If this video spoke to you, please subscribe to Awaken Wisdom for more deep dives into the mysteries of the soul, and share this with someone who may need to hear it. Protect your energy, honor your intuition, and remember, your soul is your greatest treasure. Guard it well. Before we close, 2 practical additions. First, a 60-second light shield you can use anytime. Sit up tall, inhale and imagine drawing golden light from above the crown to the heart. Exhale and see that light expand around you like a soft sphere about an arm's length in all directions. Whisper, only what serves my highest good may enter. Repeat 3 breaths. Second, if you are in acute distress or suspect psychological abuse, please reach out to real-world support. In the United States, call or text 988 for immediate help. Globally, connect with a licensed professional or a trusted spiritual mentor who respects your agency. This video is for education, not medical advice. Finally, a peek at what's next on Awakened Wisdom, a deeper dive into energy hygiene. Three powerful daily rituals: morning clarity, midday reset, evening unhook so your light stays steady in a noisy world. If that would help you, make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications so you don't miss it.